Talk health. The dreary, never-ending tale of mortal maladies is worn and stale. You cannot charm or interest or please by harping on that minor chord disease. Say you are well, or all is well with you, and God shall hear your words and make them true. Ella Wilcox. Today we're going to talk about health and about words, how your words affect your health. And I put this quote up here by the World Health Organization because it is so true. I mean, it's proving itself over and over again that the things that affect us, that cause us from or stop us from being healthy, are not those really bad, big, terrible epidemics of disease. Or the big bad wolf coming to huff and blow your house down. There are simple things like ignorance and not being motivated to do the things that you need to do. And we're hoping to deal with the first part especially. And of course, to a certain extent, when you have knowledge, you will be motivated to act on certain issues, especially where your health is concerned. But those are the two things that the World Health Organization says are the most important things when it comes to health and wellness: ignorance and complacency. And back to my statement on Gil Cates. Now, he's going to be he's going to be showing us some tremendous results and research. I mean, his company has done research for years. He'll be talking about certain nutrients that have helped restore healthy body composition, specifically bone health, lean muscle mass, and fat density, and that's going to be his main focus on nutrition. But an interesting thing, I was speaking with another associate of his, and they found out, they did a study on a group of people for several years using the same nutritional supplements. Some of these nutritional supplements, of course, contain things like glyconutrients, things that help the endocrine system work better, antioxidants, and vitamins and minerals. And they saw that over time, many of these people's bone density and muscle mass and fat percentage improved on those nutrients. However, there was a small group of people who, regardless of what they used or the amounts they used, their results did not improve. And so the question was, why? And what they found out was that to a man, to a person, each of those people was taking either distilled water or water treated by reverse osmosis. Either distilled water or water treated by reverse osmosis. Why is that an issue? Well, most of these people didn't know that distilled water removes vital trace minerals from your body, including manganese, including calcium, including magnesium, which are vital for bone density, for instance. And so while they were taking great nutritional supplements, they were basically sabotaging their efforts by taking distilled water. And so that just underscores the point that I'm trying to make: ignorance. They just didn't know. And this is just one example. Bone density is influenced by several things. Of course, nutrition is vital, but we're also talking about the hormones in your body, the levels, the different percentages, how the balance of the hormones is, vitamins and minerals, sunlight, of course, that involves vitamin D. People don't know when it comes to exercise that when you lift weights, when you do some level of high impact exercises, that helps to stimulate and strengthen your bones, stimulate bone formation and strengthen your bones. The kind of water you drink, obviously I mentioned that. The pH of your blood, acidic blood takes away from your bones. More alkaline, more neutral, more alkaline blood helps to make strong bones. Your state of inflammation, now we've had people talk, Dr. Margaret spoke about inflammation. Your thoughts, we know that chronic depression causes osteoporosis. Absolute fact. We also know that depression also can result in heart disease. So your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs all have a factor. And of course, what we're going to talk about tonight is your habitual words. And you can see right there at the very top. And really, I refer to these 7 points as the 7 laws of life. But at the very, very top, the most important from what we have seen is the words that you speak, primarily the words that you speak, but also the words that you hear and read. And I think most important, of course, are those words in your early years, your formative years. Of course, it does not mean that once you've been exposed to a lousy environment as a child, that's going to stay with you for life, but it has a tremendous effect. We know kids who have had people who have grown up from very, very terrible circumstances as children, and they've become stellar citizens in the world today. But we know that those words that are spoken to them as kids, or to most people as kids, can have an effect. Of course, let's go on. Beliefs, thoughts, food, how we use our bodies, of course, that includes our lifestyle, exercise. The people we associate with plays a tremendous factor for good or for ill in your life, and of course, the sort of work that you do. All these factors, and it's, as medical doctors, we really weren't trained in any of these. We never really were shown how important these aspects were. Obviously, we were just focused on the medication and treatment of disease. But in terms of keeping the body healthy, in terms of keeping the body well, that was a little lacking. And so what we're trying to do is we're hoping, oops, I went too fast on that one. What we're trying to do is we're hoping to reverse this trend and help people understand, and also help medical professionals understand these other aspects. And we already know that many doctors and many schools are now beginning to adopt a more holistic approach in their medical schools. Now, why are words important? Let me give you a couple of points. Right in front of you, you're looking at Anna Nicole Smith. Now, why do I have a picture of Anna Nicole Smith?
Yeah, David, let us know.
Well, first of all, I have to say this. Sherry was really, I'm going to ask Sherry, can we get a picture of her? And Sherry said, my goodness, it took me, say it, Sherry, tell me what you said.
I said it was just difficult finding one where she had enough clothes on that we would put on our webinar.
Okay, that's what happened. Okay, let me tell you why she's on. This lady, her hero was Marilyn Monroe. And Marilyn Monroe and everything about her, and she talked about Marilyn Monroe as her hero and all that. Anyway, Marilyn Monroe died before the age of 40. Well, Anna Nicole Smith happened to die before the age of 40. She patterned her life to a very large extent after Marilyn Monroe. Now, here's another man, another person on the opposite end of the spectrum. But the similarity between him and our first person is this. Reverend Martin Luther King, on the day JFK, President Kennedy, was being buried, he was in a building overlooking the whole burial procession, and he turned to his friend in a mood and in a tone of all seriousness. He said this: if they can kill the American president like this, if they can kill the American president like this, I will not live to be 40.
Wow.
And Martin Luther King died before the age of 40 at 39. Here's another person that we all know. Is still lots of news about him. He, according to his wife, the only wife he had, Lisa Marie Presley, she said that Michael Jackson was obsessed with Elvis Presley. He was always asking, trying to find more information about Elvis Presley, why he died. And what Lisa Marie kept on saying was that Michael kept on saying in all seriousness that I don't want to end up the way he did. I don't want to die the way Elvis Presley died. And yet, the circumstances were very similar. A lot of abuse of drugs. What am I getting at? Well, the other extreme, another point I wanted to say is this man right in front of you, Theodore Roosevelt, was probably my greatest hero after Winston Churchill. And that's Churchill is a man of words himself. But Roosevelt was very sickly as a child. In fact, he wasn't expected to survive childhood. His father really encouraged him, and it was really because of the words of his father that he lived on to be the kind of person that he is today. As a matter of fact, he said he owes his life to his father. But here's what his doctor told him when he was a teenager. He said, "You will not live very, very long if you keep up this hectic pace." And of course, TR was a proponent of the strenuous life. And TR told him this. He said, I'm going to live a long, healthy life, and I'm going to die by the time I am 60. When do you think he died, Sherry?
59.
I think he actually got to be 60.
Oh, okay.
But his words came true, is basically what we're trying to say, as did the other people's words. So what?
Good that I say I'm making it to 110.
Oh, good. Let's keep saying it. That has a fact that does play a major role. I'm going to be 120. I'm going to beat you to it. All right. Life and death. Now, you may just think that these are all coincidences, but these are just a few examples of several examples out there of people whose words basically not just prophesied. They were not just prophecies. The words actually set in motion the course of events that made them come true in the physical life. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. All right. We know that our words that we speak affect our state of health. We know that if you speak words of discouragement, if you speak words of disease and illness, you may fall into sickness easily. You may not recover quickly if you have a disease. It will affect your response to nutritional supplementation, medication treatment, etc. It affects everything, including our performance at school, at sports, at work, our relationships with others. You and I know that if you're a person who is always speaking negatively, you just won't have that many friends, or otherwise the friends you're going to have are those who speak negatively as well. And it's a good chance you're not going to do too well in life. A lot of research is coming out that shows that bosses, managers, corporations look for people who, one, have a good attitude, and two, second on their list consistently after having a good attitude are those who can work well with others, those who have a good command, who are able to communicate well with others. In other words, the loners don't stand much of a chance, especially in this world we are living in. So there's a huge amount of emphasis is placed on the way we communicate and how we communicate. So it's not just about death. It's really about health, about life, about the whole perspective in this world. So the question I've been asking is why? I have to tell you this. I've been in the library, and I've been searching, and I mean it was just crazy trying to get information on, because I wanted to find out if there was any physical, biochemical, physiological connection between the words that you speak and all these results that we see in our lives. I mean, why do words have such an effect on our lives? And I have to tell you, I was really disappointed that we didn't have such information enough. I mean, most books kind of like talk about thoughts and emotions and feelings and, of course, nutrition and all those things. But in terms of words, how our words affect our lives, I just didn't see too much. So like I said, I had to begin to piece things together, and I searched several books and watched DVDs and listened to tapes and all that. But here are a few things that came to my attention. For instance, all right, things associated with the mouth or with speech. Let me ask you this, Sherry: which muscle is the most powerful in the body? Which, pound for pound, which is the most powerful muscle in the body?
I think I've heard it's the jaw.
Is the muscle that controls the jaw. That's right. It's in the mouth. Good move, Sherry. I mean, think about it. It's not the heart. It's not the back muscles or your leg muscles. It's the jawbone. Is the mouth that is the muscle that moves the jaw and helps you to speak. Obviously, it helps you to eat as well, but of course, it helps to move the jaw. Well, speaking involves the teeth, the tongue, the lips, the jaws, the muscles of the mouth, the lungs, the diaphragm, the larynx, and pharynx. It's amazing just the complexity that is involved in speaking. And these are just trivia, really, but I just thought it was interesting too that the hardest substance in the body, of course, is located in the mouth as well. The enamel, that's right, the teeth. The thing that covers the teeth is the most powerful or the strongest or the hardest substance in the body, again in the mouth. Now, some of the things we know about speech. Several parts of the brain are involved. They've done PET scans and functional scans where they show when a person is speaking, several parts of the brain are lit, several parts of the brain are involved. In medical school, we were taught about the cranial nerves. There are 12 cranial nerves that extend from the brain to several parts of the body, and they control to a large extent what happens. And over half of them, and right here, about 6 of them, are actually involved with speech. In the brain, the mouth and the tongue occupy a major part of the somatosensory and motor cortices, okay, whatever that means. And those areas are around here, actually, the somatosensory cortex. I was looking at a picture of the brain, and it shows the amount of space that is devoted to the mouth, the tongue, and it was highly disproportionate to the hands and the feet. Highly disproportionate. It was like the mouth takes a lot more is devoted to the mouth than anything else. All right, what else? Let's talk about how our words affect the body. And I have this picture here. It's probably been a while since people saw this, but this used to be one of our favorite slides. And basically, this is saying, and what I refer to this is as the governing system of the human body, the governing system of the human body. And basically what it says is this: your thoughts, what you think in your mind, affects your nervous system, for better or for worse. In other words, negative thoughts will depress your nervous system, make it go wrong. The hypothalamus is the main part of the nervous system involved. The nervous system affects your endocrine system. We have over 200 different hormones, and that is controlled by the endocrine system. The endocrine system in turn controls your immune system. A quarter of all the cells in your body are immune cells, and they are for the protection and strengthening of your 100+ trillion cells in the body. Well, 60 to 100 trillion cells in the body. The immune system is the key to health, and the endocrine system controls that. But way up here is your thoughts that control that, so it trickles all the way down. And of course, there's a continuous feedback that's going over and over again. Here's what we haven't realized yet: the words that you speak, affect the thoughts that you think, and we're going to go into that a little bit further on. Here is this actually got this from a book by a linguist, and of course, the linguists are the ones who study language, but they also study how language relates to thoughts and behavior. And here's what was said in that book: how we think and how we evaluate is inextricably bound up with how we talk. If our spoken evaluations or thoughts, in the way we reason things out, in the way we consider things, if our spoken evaluations are hasty and ill-considered, it is likely that our unspoken ones, our thoughts, are even more so. If our spoken evaluations are hasty, it is likely that our unspoken ones or our thoughts are even more so. In other words, let's see, the words that we speak and hear influence our patterns of thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Here's what this means. Sloppy speech. If you're careless about the words that you choose, if you're just saying careless things like, oh, this is killing me, and we're going to get to that. This is killing me, or this is disturbing me. Oh, my back, this is a pain in the, you know what, a pain in the neck, blah, blah, blah. Sloppy speech leads to sloppy thinking. Sloppy thinking leads to sloppy emotions. Sloppy emotions lead to sloppy behavior. And you guessed it, sloppy behavior leads to a sloppy life. And that includes ill health, disease. It includes failure at work, failure in life. Careless words will bring you down. And again, that comes back to the central governing system. Your words affect your thoughts, which affect the brain, the endocrine system and the immune system. It is vital. It is crucial that we understand this one thing. And it's not just what you say to other people, but it's also what you hear. And not just what you hear, but how it is spoken or how it is said, when it is said. Your emotional state, of course, can amplify things or minimize things. I mean, if you're in a good mood and someone says something nasty to you, well, it probably wouldn't be as effective as if you're in a bad mood and someone says something nasty to you. Of course, the person who is speaking has a tremendous effect. Authority figures, for instance, the doctor, your pastor, can have a much more powerful influence on your peers, for instance. The person to whom the words are spoken, of course, comes back to you. Now, when do words have their greatest effect? Now, I just mentioned authority figures, but of course, the number one authority figure is your parents, or your father and your mother, or your parents. They, of course, because when we're young, we all look to our parents, and what they say to us, especially during the formative years, can have a huge effect, a huge influence, not just then, but for the rest of our lives, unless you can do something, unless you gain knowledge, or you're exposed to even more powerful influences from words or from mentors, or from schools or teachers and all that. Of course, authority figures, religious leaders, doctors, teachers, bosses, spouses can have a tremendous effect, as you all know, on the health or otherwise of their spouse. And very close friends, of course, because the trust that we have, a very close friend can hurt you more than an enemy or an acquaintance, for instance. Periods of vulnerability, we mentioned childhood, emotional lows, extreme fear, life-threatening illness, your emotions determine it. I'm just trying to give you a background of all these things. Dr. Koenig, speaking about your pastors and religious leaders, Dr. Koenig did a presentation for us on spirituality, religion, and health, understanding the relationships and what to do about them. He did a 2-hour presentation on that. DVDs are available for that. And he really went into detail about the effect of religion, effect of spirituality can have on your health. And a lot of that has to do with the words that we speak and hear. We mentioned spouses, we mentioned bosses and relationships. By the way, what they found out in research is that the relationship between you and your boss, your immediate superior, is, if it's a nasty relationship, if there's tension between you and your immediate boss, they have found out that has the most powerful effect on your health. Specifically, they tested the immune system of employees who were at odds with their bosses, and they found out that their immune systems were depressed simply from the stress, simply from the arguments, simply from the relationship that they had with their bosses. So a lot of that is connected. A lot of that's connected, and we treated this in our talk on stress. I think the title is From Stress to Strength. And this is a really good quote. I like it. It says, "We cannot live only for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us with our fellow man. And along these fibers, as sympathetic threads, our actions run as causes, and they come back to us as effects. We influence each other. And one of the main ways that we influence each other is through our thoughts and our words. The words that we speak to each other can have a tremendous impact on the way we live and our health." And just to underscore this point, we have this picture here, and you see a man who is communicating. I mean, he's involved in school, at work, he's involved in his family, his kids are playing soccer, that's his wife probably in school, school teacher somewhere else. But this man is constantly influenced and relates to several different people. The quality of his relationships in all these areas will determine, and there's research to prove this, the quality of his relationships. And again, relationships are dominated by the way you communicate with the people you are relating to. The quality of his relationships and communication determine to a very, very large extent the quality of his health. This happens also at the cellular level. the cellular level controls. The saying is, as it is without, in the external, so it is within. At the cellular level, our cells, and we have a picture of the immune cell now. What the immune cell does, of course, is that it goes from organ to organ to check things out, to make sure that everything is going on okay. So it gives a moment-by-moment feedback to the brain about what's going on in the different organs in the body. If your immune cells is not communicating effectively with the other cells in the body, in other words, if the immune cell is not receiving good impulses or good information from the cells, it will not be able to help the body work, and therefore it creates a situation in which the body might become ill. And of course, we talked about this. We talked about how important glyconutrients or sugars, carbohydrates are in this whole communication flow between the immune cells and even between cells of the same organ, like cells in the kidney, for instance. They have to communicate with each other. It all goes back to the words that they use, and the words that they use include glyconutrients, glycoproteins, and of course proteins, and even fatty acids as well. So all those factors, nutrition, again, it's extremely, extremely important. Back to our picture there, that continuous flow has a lot to do with the words that are being spoken by the cells. And it all culminates, it all centers on the brain, which is the central, the master organ in the human body. And this is what receives the input. But again, it comes back to words. It comes back to the words that you speak, the words that you listen to, the words that you're exposed to. And I like this quote. It says, we can heal ourselves by changing the environment inside our bodies. This is when we did the talk on, was it pH balance, acid-base balance. We can heal ourselves by changing the environment inside our bodies. That, again, goes back to words, our thoughts, our feelings. Words seem to have an overriding influence on the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we feel, the way communication goes around the body. As a matter of fact, the words that you speak the words that you speak and think are actually received by every cell, including the immune cell, every cell in the body. So that leaves us with only one logical course to take, and that is to ensure that we build strength. We choose words that help to build strength, words that take us in the direction of health, in the direction of strength, as opposed to words that make us feel weaker. The reason is this: your body has its wisdom, but it cannot do what it needs to do unless you cooperate with it. And so what we're simply saying is that help your body to do what it was created, or what it will evolve, whatever floats your boat. Help your body to do what it can do, and you will help it. If you don't, everything else you do, whether it's taking nutritional supplement, medications, surgery, you really will not get the best out of it. Whatever procedure or whatever you're involved in, you will not get the best if you use words that consistently sabotage your body's ability to heal itself, your body's ability to work. And okay, I mentioned this, stress to strength. And another reason why we need to know how to intelligently use our words is because we are in a hostile world. We are constantly bombarded by all kinds of disease. The swine flu is a big thing now. We're talking about exposure to chemicals, toxins, heavy metals, drugs, the drugs that we take, the ozone layer being depleted. My goodness, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So it just makes sense to every intelligent person to be able to understand what it takes to help his or her body protect itself and help the body live a long, healthy life. We mentioned too in that talk that 90% of all disease is caused by or influenced by stress. All right, let's talk about words. The general principle when it comes to speaking the right words is, well, use words words that help you, words that that empower you as opposed to disempower you. In other words, the can-do thing. I believe I'm going to get well. If you're not feeling too good, I believe I'm going to improve. This is not about religion, folks. This is about how your body works. Of course, primarily self-talk is the most important, and it's interesting. The Navy SEALs are among the elite, most highly trained professional Army people in the world. And one of their four core principles is self-talk. They teach their cadets how to talk to themselves, how to psych themselves up, how to overcome fear, how to keep going when all the odds are against them. Self-talk is key, and I believe that self-talk is something that we should teach ourselves or our kids and even the people that we work with, so that we can improve, we can get the most out of life. The words you speak to others, the words you read, the words you hear, all these play a factor. All these play a huge role in your life. So from now onwards, you must keep a close watch on the words you speak, read, and hear. You want to choose and select words that empower you. You don't want to be sloppy. Too many people are sloppy about the words that they choose and the words they use. Too many people do not pay special attention. They don't watch, and they don't keep guard. I mean, a perfect example now is, I mean, if you're for any reason admitted in the hospital room, I mean, we see so many people just sit down and just be in the hospital room, and they just channel surf and watch whatever junk is on TV, and especially the news. Well, if you're sick and unhealthy, or you're recovering, a lot of what's on the news is negative, absolutely negative. You don't want to be exposed to negative stuff, especially when you're in a vulnerable position. You want to choose influences that make you laugh, for instance, give you hope, make you feel empowered, strong, and whatever you feel works in that direction, go for it. But just so you know, Sherry, you don't have anything to say there?
No, they could take some building strength webinars, DVDs with them.
That's a good idea too. Take building strength webinar DVDs. Way to go, Sherry. Put in the plug. All right, I have this quote up. Not a quote, but this information up here. It's really interesting. I mean, when I was studying this thing, I had to, like I said, see this whole topic from several different perspectives, not just from the medical perspective, but also from the linguistic perspective, or the religious perspective, the philosopher's perspective, because these all factor into our understanding of the importance of words. Now, check this out. Our whole culture, our society, and not just in the United States, but around the world, our bearing is slanted. I mean, look at this. Almost twice the number of positive words are negative words. And here's an example. I mean, you have 264 words describe sadness, yet only 105 describe cheerfulness.
Now, is that in other languages, or is that just English? Is that hold true across other languages?
I am not sure, but I would be willing to bet it holds true as well, because I come from a culture where a lot of the way we used to express ourselves has a lot of death involved. It's like, I mean, something reasonably. I mean, something not too tragic happens, and the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is, I'm dead, this is killing me, oh no, I'm bored to death, I'm tired. I mean, we do that here as well. But it seems like around the world, the culture, it has been interposed or inserted into people's language and culture, that whole idea of death. Using it as a joke, whether it's using it as a joke or using it to express themselves, it seems like that is so widely used. And I tell you, this is not just a flimsy thing. When you use certain words, or if you're continually using certain words to express how you feel, well, that strengthens the way you feel. If you're constantly using words like you're excited, I'm excited about this, well, guess what? You're going to have more excited feelings than you have depressed feelings. And the converse is also true. Unfortunately, most people use negative words to express their feelings, and that's why most people are in a state of stress, depression, unhappiness, disappointment. It takes discipline to make that change, but I tell you, it's really worth it. And so let's keep going. And here's a man who I've been really impressed with his whole take on this whole thing, and his name is Tony Robbins. And here's an intelligent statement he made. To consciously control our lives, we need to consciously evaluate and improve our consistent vocabulary to make sure that it is pulling us in the direction we desire. In other words, if you're unhealthy or you're sick or you're dealing with an issue, you don't want to be telling everybody that I have, for instance, psoriasis or I have diabetes. You just don't want to. I mean, yes, I know you want sympathy, you want rapport, you want camaraderie, you want people to be with you, but it doesn't help if you're constantly talking about it. You should be constantly talking about the results that you want, and the more you do so, again, it's easier said than done, but the more you do so, the greater your chances of recovery. And here's a nice quote: well-spoken words bring satisfaction. So we need to use words that build hope, confidence, and the can-do spirit or attitude. Words associated with health and longevity. And Sherry talked about living to be 110. Good for you. Phrases and words to avoid. Words associated with disease, death, and a short life. Words associated with frustration. Words associated with worry, hopelessness, fear, hostility, anger. Again, the reason why you want to avoid these words is that they tend to create, and trust me on this, they tend to create the physical results. It's amazing when you begin to study this. It's amazing how these things work. As I was talking about this to a couple of friends, they were like, you know, this friend of mine, my friend's wife was saying this friend of mine, she's always saying this, my children will be the death of me, my children will be the death of me, and she's like, she doesn't know how to tell the person how damaging this is. But it really is. If you keep saying those things, it may not kill you today or tomorrow, but it is building a sense of just negative things in your body, which can eventually shorten your life and eventually make you vulnerable to disease and to weakness. You just don't want to be saying these things. Using words associated with death and death. Just you've got to watch out for those things. You want to speak about words. You want to use words. You want to expose yourself to words. You want to expose yourself to songs that, again, empower you. All right. The other thing, of course, is you don't want to go to one extreme and avoid and get off the middle of the road. And the reason I'm saying this is this: if you're feeling nasty or you're feeling bad, you don't want to keep it inside. You don't want to live, quote unquote, suffer in silence because you don't want to speak negative words. There is a place for, especially with your close friends and close associates, let them know how you feel. You have to have an opportunity to vent, to let people know how you're doing. If you're involved in a relationship and the person is doing something that you don't like, it behooves you to come out and say it. And sometimes you may not say it in the right way, but it behooves you. It's so important that you don't keep things in. And here's a point that helps to underscore that. Our very dear friend, Dr. Bernie Siegel, who has been on these webinars several times, but he's written a best-selling book years ago when this whole idea was new and people were attacking him from all sides. Now it's mainstream. But when he first came out with these ideas about how our thoughts influence our health and how our beliefs influence our health, I mean, he was ridiculed, he was attacked by his medical colleagues. But now, again, most of it is mainstream. Here's what he says. People who always smile, who never tell anyone about their troubles, and who neglect their own needs are those who are most likely to become ill. Think about that. Well, one of the reasons why that is so is because, you see, your body knows the truth. So you can lie to everybody, but you cannot lie to your body. You cannot lie to your immune system, for instance. What they are finding out is that people like those that Bernie has just described, when they keep those things in, they actually confuse and depress their immune system. The cells of their immune system are depressed because they are constantly keeping from saying and expressing their feelings, and the immune system becomes depressed. Oh, well, what happens when your immune system becomes depressed? You get sick because your immune system is the custodian of your health. And there's Dr. Bernie Siegel. He's still amazing. He's still going strong in his mid-70s. He's still speaking and still helping people all over the world. And I think I have to wrap this up with Shakespeare, not the whole webinar, but this particular section. To thine own self be true, then it must follow, as the night the day, that you cannot be true or false to any man. Shakespeare. I'm not sure if it's Hamlet or Macbeth or whatever. Anyway, I wanted to also add a special note on lying and falsehood. There's a huge, I don't know how best to put it, but without sounding religious, it is very, very, very important that not only are you true to yourself, but also speak the truth to others. And when I say the truth, I mean avoid telling white lies, avoid telling falsehoods. What we know, again, is that your body knows the truth. If you say, tell them I'm not here, or I'm busy when you're actually off to play racquetball, or you're off to have fun, and someone needs your help for something, you need to tell the person the truth, or just avoid the question, whatever it is, but you want to avoid telling lies. And here's an example. Sherry, have you heard, about kinesiology? How do you pronounce that?
Kinesiology, yeah.
Kinesiology, okay, kinesiology. And that's the example. That's what happens, especially chiropractors. You use it a lot, and they tell you to raise one arm outwards, and then they press on your arm, and then they see how strong it is. Well, usually, if you're a healthy person, you stretch out your arm, and they press upon the arm, pushing it downwards. You maintain the strength, and it's a little hard to push it downwards. But here's an example. If you pull out your hand or your arm, and you say your name, like I say my name is David now, and I put my hand out. Someone presses on it, it's strong. If I say my name is Sherry, for instance, and they you do that same exercise, guess what happens?
You lose some strength?
Absolutely.
Why don't they just use that instead of lie detectors?
Why don't they use that instead of lie detectors?
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier.
That could be as well. That's true. But again, I mean, that's the same principle is involved with lie detectors. Lie detectors, as in that simple kinesiology exercise. Your body is designed, evolved, created. Again, whatever you feel like holding on to. Your body responds positively to the truth. Your body responds negatively to lies. Your body gets weak when you speak lies. How does that play out? Well, if you're constantly telling lies, constantly telling the things that are not true, well, guess what? You are building weakness into your body, which ultimately makes you vulnerable to sickness and disease. And if at all you're sick and your body is riddled with sickness and disease, well, it makes it even more difficult for you to come out of that sickness and disease. Very, very, very important. You want to be sure to be telling the truth. Okay, I should have mentioned this earlier, but is Ed available? Can you locate him?
Yes, Ed.
Okay.
I'm going to unmute you, Ed.
This is Ed Bailly. That's how you. I think it's a French word. But Ed Bailly is a very, very dear friend of ours, who has a whose information on health have helped me. Has helped me tremendously. He sends out emails every week, just giving updates on health and wellness and all that. And he'll probably give you his email address if you want to, and be included in his information. But he called me today and was just telling me about how he uses these principles in helping the people who he talks to about nutritional supplementation. And he said about 50% of of what he talks to people about is about their inner life, the words they use, the thoughts they think, and the beliefs they hold dear. So without saying much else, I'm going to just ask Ed to just go ahead and just talk to us about this. Ed, are you there?
Dave, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. I hope everybody else can hear you. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. What I was talking about today was the fact that I do use, I started using in the last 3 or 4 years quite a bit of my time when I talk with someone.
You might need to speak. You might need to speak more into your microphone or something. I think we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Much better, thanks.
Is that any better?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think I had 2 phones going on at the same time, and that's what created the problem. What I started doing is after I provided some education regarding someone, regarding taking supplements, I let them know that while supplements were very important, it was also very important that we look at the body from a holistic perspective. And so started spending much more time on other things like water, exercise, and more spending more time focusing on thought process, focusing on the ability to handle anger, the ability to, and how important that was to give it up, because anger will severely depress an immune system. The ability to forgive someone, because failure to forgive will immediately shut down an immune system. The ability to the ability to have constant positive reinforcement, and that's one of the reasons why I set up with people that they get education about the body and its ability to heal, and so they can be in a position where they can trigger a positive immune response instead of a negative immune response. Now, the results have been, for me, very impressive. Many people have said, you know what, I was angry and I did not want to forgive, but I decided it wasn't worth dying over, so I gave it up. And I just feel so much better now. And the results as far as people getting improvements in their health started improving. And so it's something I would encourage each and every person to do, and that is look at the whole picture and don't perceive supplements as a magic bullet or anything that you do as a magic bullet, because it's always there's always a lot of pieces to it that will make a big difference as to whether you get healthy or not.
Great. Well, and like you said, you've been getting some tremendous results from this, right?
Right, absolutely. You know, I always noticed that that there were some people that got great results, and then with the same kind of people, the same kind of scenarios, just didn't get as positive results. In fact, people will get real disillusioned. And so I began to see the real difference was the mental process and the spiritual process and the positive attitude and the ability to engage in learning about themselves instead of just pretending that taking a pill was going to solve the problem. And so that is just as important to me now. And each and every piece is important. And I think the more we educate people, the more they understand, the better chances we have of getting them to see the whole picture and get better results from their efforts.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ed, for joining us. Could you just give out how can people get updates and health information from you?
My address is ed.valli@pobox.com. I'll repeat it again, ed.valli@pobox.com. And then just make a request to receive educational emails, and I'll be happy to send those out.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much again. And really what Ed was talking about, it just reminded me of something too. I remember this lady, her husband was dying of brain cancer. And I mean, they were doing everything right nutritionally. I mean, they were taking huge amounts of nutritional supplements. I'm telling you, nutritional supplements that would choke a horse. I mean, they were doing everything right. And what the doctor said was that they were amazed at the rate at which this man deteriorated. Now, when you have a doctor being amazed at the rate of deterioration of a patient, you know something is going on, something is really fishy. So I began to investigate, and lo and behold, we found out that there was something going on in this man's mind and heart that was actively sabotaging his healing, his body's healing ability. What was it? The man had a strong, what's the word now? He was holding a strong grudge, a very strong grudge against some members of his family who he could not forgive for all the things that they had done to him and to her. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, no, you got to forgive him. You got to get him to forgive them. And I tried to persuade him to do so. I think the man, he lapsed into a coma soon afterwards. I don't think that ever worked out. But that just underscores the point I'm trying to make. You want to ensure that you don't fall prey to any of these toxic emotions, these toxic toxic states towards other people. It does you a lot more harm than you can ever realize. Okay, let's go on. Okay, and my whole screen is blocked now. Here's another great quote. Men and women are healed by hearing and speaking words, the right words. Okay, let's have a special note for doctors, because in the final analysis, it's, well, not the final analysis, but a key component of this whole health equation is doctors. I mean, I don't know whether it's unfortunate or fortunate. I mean, it's fortunate in some instances, it's unfortunate in other instances. The power that the doctor has, over the recovery or otherwise of the patient is tremendous. And I experienced that in my, some of you know my background. I was general practice and also involved in cancer treatment, radiation oncology. And that was when I left in my search of these laws of life, so to speak. Bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I left I left my profession and my country in search of these answers, because to me they were glaring. I thought, coming to the United States, everybody would be talking about this. Everybody would be teaching about this, but that was not what I found. It is the body that is the hero, not science, not antibiotics, not machines or new devices. The task of the physician today, check this out, the task of the physician today is what it has always been, to help the body do what it has learned so well to do on its own during its unending struggle for survival, to heal itself. Interesting statement I got from a DVD. There's this DVD out called The New Medicine, and it's showing basically a groundswell, so to speak, of doctors and other healthcare professionals who are beginning to look at the way they were trained, to look at the way medical students are being trained today, and they are saying, this is not right. We have to look at the human being not just as a machine, but as a living, spiritual, feeling human being that has, or who has his dignities, his rights, his feelings, and we have to work with that. For too long, we have neglected that role, and so, like I said, the title of the DVD is called The New Medicine, and actually one of the doctors there, she is the head of the Scripps Institute in San Diego, Dr. Guarneri. She's going to be on our webinar very soon to speak about her approach, her holistic approach to complementary medicine, specifically for people with heart disease, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. But anyway, the point is this: the doctors have wield tremendous influence on the health or otherwise of their patients. If doctors understand this, and if they know how to intelligently use that experience, they will get the best results out of their patients. And I just want to quickly mention my experience here. Like I said, I was involved with cancer patients. I mean, my patients were sick. They weren't people with a headache or just had a bad runny nose. We had people who are facing life and death situations. And my experience was that people who I was able to help had tremendous results. And you probably heard me mention this on a couple of webinars in the past. I had this lady with stage 4 thyroid cancer. The cancer had spread to her bones. I mean, she was paralyzed in her arms and her legs. I mean, she was in a bad shape. And her daughter was a rock in her life, and I could see that she wanted to be healed. She wanted to be healthy. Her husband had divorced her and married someone else. The Muslim tradition there allowed him to do so. He was able to marry. I mean, you can have 4 wives according to Muslim tradition. Nothing wrong with that. But the situation was that she was in a bad state. Okay, did I say nothing? Okay, I'm going to be politically correct here. All right, the situation was that she was in a bad state. And the doctors, we were just going to, I mean, my boss was just like, let's just give her palliative treatment. There's no hope here. But I knew there was hope. There's always hope. Nothing is impossible. And so we, over the course of a year, and because she had that desire to live, that desire to get well, she had, I think, 10 kids. She had to be healthy so she could take care of her last child especially. Anyway, the bottom line is that she eventually, after a year of treatment, and a lot of input from me, I mean, around the clock I was helping them out. She walked out of the hospital. She walked out of the hospital. That was something she could not do. She could not twiddle. She couldn't twinkle her toes or twiddle her toes when she came in. And according to medical science, that's impossible. Mm-hmm. That was the most dramatic we've had. We had other experiences as well. But like I said, that created a huge impression on me that there is something about the human being that if we work with it, we shall achieve great results. And again, that was what's factored in my search and my eventual journey to the United States. Sherry, you have a story to tell about your doctor, don't you?
Yes, yes. I really enjoy telling this story. Okay, almost 3 years ago now, I had major surgery that led to some very, very serious post-op complications. And after nearly 2 weeks of being in the hospital with an NG tube and daily MRIs to try to find the source of the problem, and finally a PICC line because they'd blown every vein, and it literally was the absolute lowest point in my life. And at this point, the surgeon who was consulting on my case was suggesting a second exploratory surgery, the thought of which I couldn't even imagine. Each day, things just got worse and worse and worse. In fact, they told me later that my complications could have been fatal. Well, my primary doctor, he was this wonderful Jewish man, and I really do believe he saved my life. On one of the days when things were really at their worst and I really had given up, he came over to my bedside and he held my hand and he said these words to me: "You are not sick. You can fight this." I remember thinking, he said, "You are not sick. You can fight this." And this was totally contrary to how things had looked, but I trusted him, and I literally remember letting those words, "You are not sick. You can fight this," sink into my heart. And it was kind of funny, right after that, as my husband went to hand me the bowl to get sick in again, I handed it back to him and said, "That's for sick people, and I'm not sick."
Wow.
And David, literally something amazing began to happen over just the next 2 hours, and it had been almost 2 weeks I'd been in the hospital, and within about 2 hours, some of those systems that had been literally paralyzed for almost 2 weeks started to wake up, so to speak, and began to function. And that really was the turning point in my recovery, and I am convinced that those words spoken by my doctor to me at that moment gave me hope and really saved my life. And within 2 days, I was home in time to have Christmas with my family. So yes, I am a testimony to the power of those spoken words, and I totally agree with you that doctors really do need to know about this.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing. That's, I mean, I'm still, I'm just so grateful and thankful that there are people out there and doctors out there who understand this. Not enough by any stretch, but hopefully more and more doctors will come to understand this, because, I mean, for good or for evil, they do wield a tremendous amount of power over the patients. And again, that goes back to the whole authority figure thing. I mean, we mentioned kids. I mean, kids will believe everything their parents say, especially between the ages of 0 and 6 years of age. They'll believe everything. So it's so important. It's so important that the parents understand this, and of course doctors and other authority figures they understand that when the people that look up to them, you can make or break them. And again, this goes for spouses as well. You need to encourage your spouse rather than tear them down. The words you speak to your spouse in the morning can affect his or her quality of work when he goes out. I mean, all those things fit in this whole life and health situation. So extremely, extremely important. But in the final analysis, if you're an adult, it's up to you. You can't blame anybody anymore. You can't keep on saying it was my parents' fault or I was badly treated and all that. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's tough, but it has to come to a point in time when we have to take up the reins for ourselves and make those changes and expose ourselves. And being in this country, again, people in this country are so fortunate to be exposed to the amount of information and help things that are out there. I mean, I come from a country where it's extremely costly just to be on the internet, for instance. I mean, water and electricity they're rationed around the whole country. So, I mean, the things that people take for granted here to us, they are luxuries. So, over here, people have fewer excuses. And to wrap this up, and listen, if you feel offended that I'm using quotations or scriptural references, I don't apologize, but this is really who I am. This is why we're doing these webinars in the first place. We're not trying to proselytize. This is just what we do. And I think the Bible really says something interesting. It says, if you find someone whose speech was perfectly true, you would have a perfect person in perfect control of life. And don't let the word perfect throw you, but I think this translation says it a little bit better. It says, if you can control your tongue, if you can control what you say, if you can focus on speaking the right words, speaking on the words that help empower you, help strengthen you, then you are mature and able to control your whole body. That includes influence your body's response to germs and viruses, and effectively really create a shield around your mind and your body, a shield that most people simply do not have, unfortunately. Okay, that wraps it up. So this is your responsibility to commit to using words intelligently. Questions?
Okay, and just a reminder, if you do have any questions, you can type them into the little blue questions panel. There's a couple, let's see, somebody wanted you to re-show one of the slides, one with our state of health, ... It had some bullet points. It was towards the beginning.
Our state of health? Huh.
With Ella Wheeler, an Ella Wheeler quote.
Ella Wheeler? That's probably the first one.
Okay, throw that again.
Huh, okay. Let's see. Is this it? I guess it is. Okay, it's a poem, I think. Okay.
Okay. Somebody was taking notes and wanted to write that down. Again, there was somebody who wanted to see another slide as well. I haven't had too many questions come in, just some thank yous and people saying that they appreciated the Bible quotes.
That's good to know. Again, folks, this is not the Bible class or anything, but I just felt those were pretty apt. So.
We made fun of those someday, though.
Yeah, we may, yeah.
Okay, and then there was another one that started with, the body is the healer, not science. Says I didn't get to read the whole paragraph. I think that one was towards the end.
Uh-huh.
And really, there haven't been too many questions. That was a wonderful, wonderful presentation, though, David. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. By the way, again, these slides are all. Maybe we should tell them that these slides are all available. They are free for you if you're a member. So we don't give the slides out. Obviously, we give the handouts out. But these are all included in your whole membership thing, and I think it's still $15 a month, right?
Yes. So if you're a member, we'll have the members area within. We try to get them in within about 24 hours. Okay. Well.
Okay. Oh yeah. I just wanted to remind you guys that we had Ken Sabat speak on Tuesday, and some of you have actually sent your emails in. But here's the discount. I don't know if I should tell you guys this because some of you are not on the webinar. We're not on the webinar on Tuesday. But excuse me. But what Ken spoke about NeuroBright, which is that new nutritional supplement that helps heal the brain and helps just help the brain work better, blah blah blah. And their company is offering you I think it's 2 for the price of 1. I thought that was a great deal, 2 for the price of 1. We are collating all the people who want them, and we'll be sending them in tomorrow. So if you are interested in getting a bottle or 2 of NeuroBrights, just let us know, and we're going to need your phone number and your email address so they can contact you with that with the product. Someone's just typed in saying I spelled good wrong.
No, they did on one of their.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. Okay, that covers it. September, we're going to have a really nice, really interesting setup of speakers. So just check our websites. Lots of interesting speakers for the whole month of September. All right, anything else, Sherry?
I'll just read this one last thing that came in from Janny. It says, wow, Dr. David, this is great. It does not cost us anything to strengthen our body by simply feeding our emotions with positive thoughts through positive words. This is also a perfect example of self-fulfilling prophecy. Thanks again for such a beautiful and unique webinar.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
To end on.
All right, thanks a lot.
Good night.
Good night, folks.